Welcome back to NewsX World. I'm Thomas Porteous and you are watching Focal Length, where we get you a briefing from topics from around the world. The country of Jordan shares the largest border area with Israel, which is currently in an escalating war with Gaza. In that regard, what responsibility does Jordan bear? How will it defend if the war reaches Jordan's border? Can Jordan accept Gazans for refuge? What does the Jordanian economy look like, and what countries can play a role in its growth? Let's find out. Joining us is Jawad Al Anani, who is the former Deputy Prime Minister of Jordan. He is a seasoned economist and politician and has held several high-ranking and ministerial positions in the civil service over the years. In addition, he was appointed as the President of the Royal Court and as well as of the Economic and Social Council. Thank you for joining us, Jawad Al Anani. My first question to you is, how would you define Jordan's current outlook in the Israel-Hamas war?
Well, Jordan is trying to reach for peace. Jordan is not trying to take sides as much as it wants to see the Palestinians get their rights, their human rights, their dignity, and their state. Other than that, we have no quarrels with Israel. We have already normalized our relations. We have, flowing trade flows. We have exchanged, signed certain big deals with Israel. But I think that the current Israeli government is a peace spoiler. So anyway, they have to behave, I believe, and they have to stop killing innocent people in Gaza. We are outraged by the fact that so many innocent people have lost their lives, and that is the major stumbling block right now that separates us from having more cooperation with Israel. But at the same time, we hope that this war, ugly war, would soon stop, and the whole region would restore some sort of normalcy and business as usual.
Jordan shares the largest border area with Israel. Do you feel that it is a responsibility of Jordan to help the people suffering in Gaza from a humanitarian crisis?
Well, Jordan has been historically doing nothing else. Every time there is a problem in the Arab world, Jordan takes the brunt of hosting refugees and accommodating them and providing aid and assistance for them, which has been, to be honest with you, a big burden on our national budget and our national economy. Yet we continue to do that because it is our obligation. However, when it comes to Israel evacuating refugees by force, or people, Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza by force, this has political connotations. It threatens the security of Jordan, because pushing or as some Israeli extremists would like to see, that all Palestinians are pushed out, and that would be too much for Jordan to take. And we already host 4 million people from different nationalities. And also this would be the end of the dreams of Palestinians to have their own home state. So we don't condone that, and we have to fight against this.
The Tower 22 incident is a serious warning for Jordan's security. It is the first incident carried out by non-state actors against Jordan. Are you concerned about this?
Yes, but we dealt with it on first stop. Two borders, were threatening us because of the lack of government control over these areas in eastern Iraq, in western Iraq, and in southern Syria. And so there is an Iranian influence, but we think that we can handle that. We have already been handling this and denying them access into Jordan. Of course, we don't want this war, the war on Gaza right now, to be used as an opportunity to actually threaten Jordan's security itself. We would like to see all peoples in the area live in peace and neighborly, and being neighborly instead of being enemies. This would open the road to solve many economic problems that are badly needed. We need to deal with unemployment, poverty, and also rising demands for population for better living. Therefore, I think we need peace, and peace is what Jordan seeks.
Has the relationship between the United States and Jordan changed over Gaza?
I don't see any evidence over that. We always had some our differences with the positions of the United States regarding certain matters, but we deal with them like two strategic alliances allies do. We consider the United States to be one of our strategic allies. They already have troops inside Jordan, and we bargain with them. We let them know about the fact that, for instance, certain policies are affecting Jordan's economy because it's denying us access to the Syrian economy, denying us the possibility of selling electricity to Lebanon, weakening the Syrian government to extend its control over areas close to Jordan, where drug smuggling is already taking place, and also because we think that international transit trade, which goes on between Europe through Jordan, Syria, and Jordan to the Gulf states, and from there on to other countries, has been denied, and that was a good source of income for Jordan. So therefore, we are pressuring the Americans to take that into consideration because it is already costing Jordan around $5 to $6 billion a year, which is almost equal to 6 or 7% of Jordan's GDP.
What would be Jordan's stance or contingency plan if the Israel-Hamas conflict reaches the borders of Jordan?
Militarily. We are putting our priorities as following: deterrence, first of all, they're not allowing the war to cross into Jordan borders. And we are already exercising that option by being careful and by the remobilization of our troops. Secondly, we are talking to international community to be aware of this potential prospect, as diplomacy should do. Thirdly, we are trying to, His Majesty the King in particular has been very active internationally, talking to all different world leaders about this. So we think we have a great deal of empathy with the Jordanian position and Jordan being caught in between the wars. But yet Jordan cannot afford to take a neutral position, because Palestinians constitute a large portion of our population, and we have to represent their interests. And secondly, we would like to see the Palestinians get their own state, and eventually all this struggling that will never stop as long as the Palestinians are not getting their duly deserved rights to have their own independent state and to have their own dignity within the borders of their own state.
Jordan is considered to be a stable country in the Middle East. An armistice was signed with Israel back in 1949. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
Unless some, hard-nosed Israeli politician dares do that. Of course, there was a violation or two. One of them was in 1968, around this time, in March 1968, when Israel tried to cross into Jordan borders from the West Bank and from Israel proper. But the battle, Israel lost that battle, and as a result, the Israelis have never tried to cross into Jordan territory. I don't think that the Israelis are concerned right now, as things stand now, and especially generals and security people are keen not to disturb the internal situation in Jordan in favor of others who probably would use that opportunity to use the longest borders with Israel as a launching pad to attack Israel itself. So in a way, we also present a valuable protection to Israel from those attacks.
Jordan's economy is reportedly struggling at this time. Reports suggest that Jordan suffers rampant unemployment and freedom of expression is being repressed. Is this a way to impact Jordan's image?
This is always a paradoxical situation, because if you allow, Jordanians, by the way, are private people, in a way. in the sense that they don't like to see people talk about them freely in the media or in media outlets and so on. And we had so many of those who were floating rumors and bad news. And suddenly, no state would tolerate that. I mean, in the United States, if you remember after the end of the MacArthur era, so many people sued the MacArthur supporters because they have scandalized many innocent people. So in a way, we don't want that to happen. But for us we have never, punished or penalized people who honestly say their opinion just because they are standing on the opposition. I don't think so. I think Jordan offers a freedom. I was Minister of Information. And you know what? I always said, if it is meant to be to express the opinion of a certain segment of the population, that is most welcome. That's what we want. Diversity of opinions helps. But I don't think that Jordan suppresses freedoms. We did that during martial laws, which comes with the territory. But under the current circumstances, no.
Jordan has always been very open and magnanimous when it comes to people displaced by war. You have about 1 million Syrians in Jordan. Does this also mean that people who are being displaced from Gaza will at some point find refuge in Jordan?
Well, Jordan has reached what we call saturation level. We cannot take more refugees because right now Jordan's population is about 13 million. A number that we should have reached by in the year 2037. So we have lost 14 years of preparation and building infrastructures and superstructures that would accommodate a fastly growing and rapidly growing population. The number of refugees in Jordan right now constitutes about 30% of the whole population. And that is a very big burden for a country to take alone on its shoulders. That's why we have you've seen an expansion in the informal market, and that's why we have been threatened by some elements in the region. I believe that Jordan has taken enough, and I don't think that Jordan is in the mood to receive more, despite the fact that we appreciate for human reasons, that we should allow people to come, spend their time, especially if they are sick, if they cannot find medicine, to come and seek that, if they come for education. But at the end of their mission, they should go back to their own countries. That's why we want, Syria and Iraq and other countries and Yemen and to restore their normalcy in order for their people inside Jordan to go back to their own homelands.
Are Jordan's domestic elections being impacted negatively due to the Israel-Hamas conflict?
Well, it is, for instance, there are certain parties which have benefited from the war, and they have, in a way, utilized it in order to enhance their populous profile. We want the elections to be opened, especially for burgeoning and new political parties, to assert themselves on the political scene of Jordan. This way, the war has actually brought out the extremist feelings among many Jordanians who would support the ones who are supporting the war vehemently and demonstrating every week, in support of them. We are not against, we are against continuation of the war. We want the war to end, and we want a peace process to take place. But in terms of impact, yes, it will affect the outcome of the elections, but probably not in the degree that many politicians probably expect. Jordanians still, when they go to the box and they are alone with themselves, they would like to see someone who knows the indoors, of the government, who can help them, who can solve their problems, and also represent their viewpoint with clarity in the parliament.
What is the potential of the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor in the growth of Jordanian economy?
Well, if if that project goes through, and I hope it will, um, I think that Jordan would benefit a great deal, especially in terms of supply chain, international supply chain project. Also, it will enhance our relations with countries like India, which already, our economic relations are already very strong between India and Jordan. We are the main source of fertilizers for India, potash and phosphates. And also we are, we are beginning now to import more goods, especially that the industrial complex of India has been changing and shifting towards capital goods and automobiles and things like that. So trade is going up. I think that India in the future could choose Jordan as a terra media, a point of storage, or you might say logistical center, where they can store Indian goods that will be distributed around to the region, because Jordan has connectivity with all the neighboring countries in Iraq, Syria. And this would allow also Indian contractors to participate in the reconstruction process that will hopefully take place very soon in countries like Syria, Iraq, Palestine, Gaza, and other places.
How does the Middle East play a big role in ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific?
We need that for the world peace, first of all, because we are in the center of the world, as you know. And we think that basically the most important trade route passes through the Arab world. If you are talking about Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, Red Sea, Suez Canal, Gibraltar Strait, the Atlantic Ocean, 20% of world trade actually goes through that channel. And so in a way, any disruption in the flow of trade and services in that region would impact the rest of the world economic order. But if it prospers, then many countries will prosper as well. It will not cause a higher cost to world prospective trade outflows.
Thank you, Jawad Al Anani, for speaking to us on Focal Length. With that, it's a wrap on this episode. For more international news updates, stay tuned on NewsX World.